It's October, it's that time of the year where monsters and creatures come out to play the worst of the worst. Godzilla! I knew I should have got more house insurance! What about the monsters, creatures, and psychopaths? Which of those would you have a chance of surviving against versus those you wouldn't? In honor of this spooky time of the year, we are opening up the archives of the Asylum and finding out. And here we go with patient file number 2. More than just your doctor, I'm your guide to tell you about your chances if you would survive against Icon Comics' Nemesis. In the previous, in the patient file number 1 breakdown, it was Pinhead from the Hellraiser franchise. If I found myself going up against Nemesis, I would just wave the white flag. I wouldn't even try to break out in superhuman speeds and run for my life. No, I would just wave the white flag. I give up! Like, no jokes, no sarcasm, no funny ha-has, no funny clips or edits or nothing like that. If it was Nemesis, I'd be more terrified of him than Pinhead from the Hellraiser. That's how terrifying this guy is. I already know some of you are saying, Doc, there's no way this guy is that bad. Right? Let me try to break this down on just exactly how capable and just how overall dangerous Nemesis really is. Let me just reveal this much to you. You're probably familiar with Wolverine from Marvel Comics, right? Imagine if one morning Wolverine just said, I'm gonna be evil. Let's just say Wolverine just gave into the animal keen instincts within him. He just gave over to the evil side of him, much like how Sabretooth traditionally does. If he did that, Wolverine would drop pretty much everyone and anyone. There's actually a Wolverine Kills the Marvel Universe run, and he pretty much did it. There were just like 3 or 4 heroes still left standing by the time he was done. And again, it's because he didn't just go insane, he just chose to become evil. Nemesis is what we get if Batman chose to be evil. The key word here is he chose, not because he went, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs because he became the Batman who laughs. No, Nemesis is what happens when Batman chooses. He makes a conscious decision to just be evil. And that inherently in itself, in my opinion, is probably more terrifying than someone who is evil because they're insane, kind of like the Joker. I mean, that is terrifying. But someone who is evil just for the sake of choosing, of just wanting to be evil, that's a whole new level of evil right there. But now let's really break down Nemesis. I'll try to avoid as many spoilers as I possibly can, but I am going to be touching a little bit on the whole entire first issue featuring Nemesis and everything, so minor spoilers ahead. But again, I'll do what I can to avoid everything. Also, I have to tiptoe around this carefully because some of the things that Nemesis does are kind of messed up. So messed up that if I went into true, genuine detail, regardless if I was here on TikTok or YouTube, I would be getting in trouble. So I have to tiptoe around with how I word things very carefully. So if you're wondering why I'm doing that? Well, now you know why. But now, without further ado, winding back the clock a little bit, we go all the way back to the day before Nemesis was Nemesis, when Nemesis was just Matthew Anderson, a member of the Anderson family. I bet they're kind, right? Yeah, no, not at all. As it turns out, the Anderson family was part of basically the super, 1% of society. These people that have so much money, they can do literally whatever the hell they want without consequences, but those consequences did catch up with the Anderson family. Good thing too, because the Anderson family, many of the associates of the family, and again, that 1%, we're all connected with this thing that involves humans and transporting them, if you get my meaning. So yeah, they were in some really horrible, horrendous shit. And Matthew Anderson himself was actually part of those people that were part of the transportation of people, again, if you get what I'm meaning. So yeah, even he had a horrible upbringing. But when all this happened, this was actually the beginning of the birth of something truly evil, that being Nemesis. After his family was taken in, basically from there, Aunt Matthew Anderson came under the direct care of his uncle, who basically inherited a billion-dollar electronics company. And then from there, he did the Batman thing, and Matthew Anderson, and he went on his journey of becoming Nemesis. He traveled and toured the world, and among his accomplishments, among his accolades include, at age 12, this guy had become the leader of an entire organization. I can't go into more details than that. Just the age of 15, he had become the leader of an organization that transports very dangerous materials out of all of Asia. And all while doing that, he was slowly metamorphosing basically into Nemesis, becoming an expert in all known forms of combat expertise in lead injectors and so on and so forth. Basically, like I said, he pulled off the whole entire Batman thing, dedicating his early life to becoming, Nemesis right here, not Batman, but you get what I mean. Years later, now well past his 20s, it was now time for Nemesis to go after Chief Maros out of Washington, D.C. It was time for him to go after the person who had arrested and destroyed his family, but along the way, he practiced on other high-ranking people. And by practice, I mean, case in point, taking this poor sod right here, and then proceeding to do this to this guy. Nemesis does not care. Also, my heart goes out to the people who had to clean up this mess. In order to simultaneously become public enemy number 1 and to bring Chief Maros to him, Nemesis proceeds to hijack this giant, very iconic airborne flying vehicle. Have to tiptoe around my words, but yeah, proceeds to hijack giant airborne, iconic flying airborne vehicle right here, and takes the most important person that you would expect to be on this airborne flying vehicle as his You probably know. Again, I have to be very careful with my words here. But yeah, Nemesis did all this in the first issue. All of this. And then this. And Nemesis on the surface basically hijacks like this whole entire televised event. And he basically says that he wanted to steal the nuclear kaboom codes from that very important airborne flying vehicle, and the person who usually has the codes, or the person who usually you need to use the codes. Yeah, he has that person, and he's threatening to unleash nuclear kaboom levels of devastation, all because of his stolen childhood at the hands of Chief Marrows. This guy, talk about petty. Chief Marrows, he's not having it. He tells everybody, immediately put my family into protective custody. I need to protect them because we are going to take down Nemesis. And they set up this great operation in order to bring him in. Chief Marrows set up this whole entire elaborate trap, one that Nemesis couldn't resist. What couldn't he resist? He couldn't resist being evil in the sense of stealing someone's brand new heart that they needed. That's a child needed. He stole the brand new heart that someone needed for that type of a surgery. A child! Thankfully, the operation was a success. They did manage to actually take into custody Nemesis and the whole entire heart that he actually ended up taking, and it was actually nothing but a pig's heart. So, yeah, no harm, no foul. Right? I mean, there's absolutely nothing to worry about. They got him in custody, and everything's gonna go right. Right? No, as it turns out, this guy's very Batman. He's like 50 steps ahead of you. He planned ahead of this, and because of that, he was only in custody and in prison for 15 minutes. He then proceeds to escape, dropping 97 combatants along his way. 97! Proceeds to escape, like I said, all while unleashing 2,000 captive inmates out onto the streets. Holy shit! Nemesis goes on to do a hell of a lot of other diabolical stuff I can't touch on. It's just too much, even for right here. But again, I'm also doing that to avoid spoilers. But again, the things that this guy does is just monstrous. And he's just doing this for revenge. Right? Wrong. So why does Nemesis do what he does? He says it right here to Chief Marrow himself, because he's rich and he's bored. That's all. Here at the Asylum, we give the definitely not inspired Batman who chose to become evil character, Nemesis, we give this guy a straight up 10 out of 10. If this guy decides to come for you, just wave the white flag. Just accept whatever this guy has planned for you. You're not going to escape him. You're not going to defeat him. You're done. Also, Nemesis has seemingly come back from the dead. Yeah, he didn't exactly survive everything that happened to him and that whole entire thing I showed you and everything, but yeah, he seemingly has come back from the dead. So, great, this guy's, he can come back from the great beyond. Wonderful! And if you had any doubts that this guy truly wasn't monstrous, Nemesis is the type of villain who hides underneath your bed. He hid underneath someone's bed! There's not supposed to be any monsters underneath your bed, but except him, Nemesis will do that. The worst kind of evils are those who choose to be evil, period. And Nemesis embodies this down to a T. But yeah, that's patient file number 2 at the Asylum. Be safe this Halloween and October and everything, and just hope and pray that we don't ever end up with someone like this in reality. Because if we did, we wouldn't make it. Hope you enjoyed this issue of discovering monsters and creatures and just overall bad people. You wouldn't survive if they accidentally suddenly became a reality, popped up here in reality. But again, hope you enjoyed. Make sure you follow, like, and comment right over here if you enjoyed the breakdown. And definitely give me a follow right over here so I can continue to keep you informed on all things video game trailers, comics, and more, and continue to bring down these patient files right here in the month of October, spooky season. My favorite time of year. But again, hope you all enjoyed. Please make sure to give me a follow, like, and a comment. Hope to see y'all in the next one.